From a standpoint of total yards gained on the ground, Cyril Pender is the best rusher so far for the Eagles. It is second down and 6. Snead to throw. Pryor gets him. Fred Pryor, number 89, shooting in from the defensive right end position, nailed him.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, just want to say thank you so much. Everyone's been watching my videos. I greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much. If you give this video maybe a thumbs up, or maybe leave a comment below, or share the video, it would mean so much to me. But anyway, thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to watch the video. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it's ramping up, and you miss a day, you miss a lot. I'll tell you. A lot of news going on here today with the Giants. First thing that I saw this morning was the Giants going to be retiring Michael Strahan's jersey. Number 92 will never be worn again by anybody from the New York Giants. They're hosting the Eagles November 28th, and that's when the ceremony will be. Michael Strahan sacked the Eagles quarterback more than anybody, okay, in his career. So, and it was kind of like fun. It was like with Lawrence Taylor, he sacked Ron Jaworski, the quarterback from the Eagles, more than he sacked any other quarterback. So, we got to thank those Eagles, huh? But with Eli Manning's jersey being retired, okay, and Michael Strahan's jersey being retired, comes to 12, all right, jerseys that have been retired by the New York Giants, right? Now, he certainly got us. I guess don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but he was pretty special. Pretty special. I mean. He came into the Giants in 1993 from Texas Southern. He actually overlapped with Lawrence Taylor. He got to play with Lawrence Taylor. He was with the Giants from 1993 to 2007. He had 141 and a half career sacks. Of course, let's not forget the NFL record. 22 and a half sacks that he had in the 2001 season. All right. His final game with the Giants was in Super Bowl 42, when we beat the Patriots 17-14. He was he could rush the quarterback. He was good at playing the run. I mean, some guys just rush the quarterback, or this or that. I mean, he did both. I mean, he did both. I mean, just like Pro Football Focus. Okay, once again. They only went back to 2006 for his grades, okay? So, but in 2006, right, when he was 35 years old, all right, in 2006, his Pro Football Focus grade was an 81.2. His run defense, when he was 35 years old, was an 88. Unbelievable. 2007, when he was 36, his final season in the NFL, his Pro Football Focus grade, for defense was an 85.5. His run defense was an 85.8. His final season in the NFL at age 36 was absolutely phenomenal. 85.5. I mean, I'm usually guys by that are just hanging on by a thread. Let me play one more season. Let me, this, that, no. He brought it. I'm sure he could have played a couple more years if he wanted to, but he called it quits and he drove off into the sunset, kind of like him and John Elway. Kind of won a Super Bowl, and you go off and you retire, And Michael's doing pretty well for himself, but be nice ceremony especially against the Eagles. Hopefully John Runyon will be there. John Runyon was the tackle he used to go up against all the time, and what Michael said was John Runyon. Yeah, he used to beat John Runyon quite a bit, but John Runyon, what Michael said, also brought out the best in him as well too. So certainly well deserving. Michael Strahan. It brings me also to right around that era is as far as well, of course, Michael's in the Hall of Fame, but he got his number retired and all. Kind of it's like somebody just coming just close and not quite, apparently not quite getting it. Is Tiki Barber, okay? He's 15th all time, all right, in all-purpose yards, okay, between rushing and receiving yards. 15th all time. The 14 guys in front of him are either in the Hall of Fame or going to be going in the Hall, like Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore. Okay, those guys are still, but haven't I don't think they've retired quite yet. But they're either all the guys are either in the Hall of Fame or going into the Hall of Fame. Tiki, not quite. He played 10 seasons for the Giants from 1997 to 2006. I mean, it's just a shame because he quit. Not quit. He retired 1 year too early because if he played one more year, right, he would have a Super Bowl ring. He has, some of these records he has for the Giants that may not ever be beaten because, Lord knows if we're going to wind up signing Saquon. Can Saquon stay healthy? Who knows? But, Tiki Barber, 10,449 rushing yards, okay? But he also has 5,183 receiving yards. He has 15,632 rushing and receiving yards, okay? He said he only played 10 seasons. He was out of football for 4 years. 2011, he reinstated to come out of retirement. Nobody offered him any, nobody took him really seriously or whatever. So basically nothing really came from it, but he was trying to come out of retirement in 2011. Now, I know one thing he was talking about with Tiki was, in his career, he had 2,217 rushes. He had 586 receptions. He had a lot of touches. Okay, so it starts to wear on you. And I remember one thing he said, was going through the grind and, and taking the beating and all that week in and week out. It just kind of was wearing on him. But, it's just a shame because it's like, hey, you only got one body. You want to take care of it. And if you think it's time to get away, you just get away. But if he would have played 2 more seasons, he's at 15,632. All right, if he would have played 2 more years, okay, and gotten about 3,000 more total yards, which is possible because I'm going to go over the stat in a second. He'd have well over 18,000 yards. He'd be number 6 all time in yards between rushing and receiving. All right, he'd be 6th or 7th if he just played 2 more years, which would give if he had 1,500 yards a season. Right now, his final 3 seasons in the NFL, he had over 2,000 rushing and receiving yards. Okay, 2004 he had 2,096 rushing and receiving yards. 2005 he had 2,390 rushing and receiving yards, and his final season when he retired, 2006, he had 2,127 rushing and receiving yards, which I believe is the most all time of somebody who their final season then retired. Most yards that they had in their final season was Tiki Barber's 2,127 yards. So if he came back for 2 more years, possibly he would have had a Super Bowl ring. Okay, if he could have stayed healthy, of course. All right, and he'd be number 5 or number 6 all time in all-purpose yards between rushing and receiving. He'd probably be in the Hall of Fame. If he could have played 3 more years, he might have 20,000 yards. And there's only 3 guys, all right, who have over 20,000 yards. All right, so he for sure he would be in the Hall of Fame. Now he has 3,000. He has 3 2,000 all-purpose yards seasons. Okay. Which is tied for 2nd place all time. There's 3 guys who are all in the Hall of Fame who have 4 2,000-yard seasons, okay, between rushing and receiving. Marshall Faulk, Eric Dickerson, and Walter Payton. Those 3 guys have 4 2,000 rushing and receiving yard seasons. Tiki has 3. All right. So if Tiki could have played another 2, maybe 3 seasons, he'd be up there in the yards. He'd probably be in the Hall of Fame. He'd have a ring. Possibly would be thinking about retiring number 21 as well. But anyway, more news we have here for you. We got the reason why I guess now we're kind of coming, into the light a little more is why we signed. Maybe we went after Billy Price and Ben Bredesen. Okay, is that because Shane Lemieux has a partially torn patella tendon? Okay. Apparently he's going to try to attempt to play, all right, the season without surgery. Now, I've seen surgery. If you have surgery, it could be like 6 months or so, to recover. Possibly, obviously, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I mean, I saw 6 months, right around there. So even if he does go down, if it totally tears off, okay, and say it happens in, say, October or November, even December, right, he'd have plenty of time, to be able to come back next season, all right? So he's going to try to play with it. Because, if he has surgery, he's out for the season. So you can pretty much forget about that. And you go through the whole training camp and all this crap and everything to play in the games, okay? So he's going to try. He's a tough dude, so he's going to try to play with a partially torn patella tendon. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. But that's kind of, I guess, why they went after Billy Price and Ben Bredesen, all right? Because if Shane were to go down, you need a guard, to be able to step in there and take his place. So that might be why we went after those guys. So hopefully Shane pulls through, but we'll have to wait and see. He's a tough dude, though. Then we got on the IR, we got the Giants put Ellison Smith on the IR from his hamstring, still his hamstring. And then, of course, John Ross is on an IR, too, with his hamstring, all right? And either one of these guys can come back after the Giants' 3rd game of the season. All right, that's what happens. If you're on the PUP list, like Aaron Robinson is, you come back after the 6th game of the season. But these 2 guys, if they can ever get over their hamstring injury, can come back after the 3rd game. All right. Now, the Giants were also awarded 3 guys off of the waiver wire. All right. Giants were number 11 in the pecking order. Right, so they had, they have a good chance of getting, guys that they're maybe interested in. They'll obviously have a better chance of getting somebody they're interested in than, say, Tampa Bay would. Okay. Or the Chiefs or somebody like, obviously it's just like a draft order. Okay, if you stink and you're drafting one, you really, really stink like the Jaguars, you're picking number 1. If you really, really stink and you're on the waiver wire and you're on Jaguars, you get your pick of the litter, whoever you want. Well, so the Giants got 3 guys, okay? A little interesting here. Okay, you got Justin Hilliard, who's a linebacker from Ohio State. He's a very good athlete, all right? He apparently in 2015, when he went to Ohio State, he was the only 5-star recruit in the Ohio State 2015 recruiting class, all right? So he's a very good athlete. The problem with him, okay, is he has had some injuries in college, right, which certainly hurt his draft stock, okay? Now, he's like an inside linebacker, all right? So, I'm not sure, they're just going to add to the guys that they got there, or if somebody else is hurt, or what they're going to do, but they got him. Now, then the second guy they got is Quincy Rochet. All right, he played with 2 schools. Now he's like an edge rusher, which might be why they felt kind of comfortable putting Ellison Smith on the IR. All right, Quincy, he was with 2 teams. He spent most of his college career with Temple. And then for his final season, all right, he transferred over to the Miami Hurricanes. Okay. He didn't do too bad in preseason. In preseason, he had 1.5 sacks and he had 3 quarterback hits. Okay, if he was that impressive and all and everything, I mean, you can't complain about, 1.5 sacks and 3 quarterback hits. Not too bad. But, I mean, if he was that impressive at all, yeah, he wouldn't have been let go. So he got let go for some reason, but the Giants scoffed him up. Right? In his 4 years when he was at Temple, okay, he had 26 sacks, which is an AAC record. Okay. Then when he went his 2020 season, when he was with Miami, okay, he had 14.5 tackles for loss, and he had 4.5 quarterback sacks. So he kind of dominated at Temple when, the lower level competition, right? He dominated. But when he went to Miami, he's, I can't say he dominated, don't get me wrong, but he did pretty decent, okay? In 2020's Pro Football Focus grade, okay, when he was at the U, he was an 81.7, right, 2020. His pass rushing grade when he was at Miami, all right, was an 87.7. So I've seen some pictures of him at the Senior Bowl, okay, coming around the edge. He looked pretty good. And there was another one I saw. He was kind of bull rushing when he was going up against the right tackle. He bull rushed the right tackle back into the backfield and all. So, but what I was kind of reading is that he doesn't have like many moves or anything like that. So they said he might struggle against NFL quality talent. So, if he can't beat the guy around the edge, he might have some problems. But in 2019, when he was with Temple, okay, his PFF grade was a 93.5. All right, so he was at lower level competition, but he dominated. His pass rushing grade when he was with Temple, 2019, was a 93.3. Okay, so he's got some giddy up to him, right? So let's keep our fingers crossed. What's the worst that can happen, right? Okay, he might be kind of like a situational kind of guy. Same thing with Justin Hilliard, right? Let's see. And then the third guy that they got, okay, is they got Colin Johnson. All right. Now the guy is 6'6", right, 222 pounds. He's from Texas. Okay, didn't have phenomenal numbers in college. The average, I think, was like 14 yards reception. Okay, in college, didn't have a boatload of touchdowns. I think one year, I think it was his junior year, he had 68 catches. I think that he had like 900 and something yards receiving. That was like his high. Okay, last year with obviously they didn't play that many games, so his numbers weren't that high. Due to COVID and all that, right? But he was with the Jaguars, all right, in 2020, and he had 18 receptions. I think it was 14 games he played in, had 18 receptions, 272 yards receiving, right? And he averaged 15.1 yards a catch, right? And he had 2 touchdowns, right? So, I mean, they got him, maybe possibly, so now they feel a little comfortable maybe putting John Ross on the IR, all right? Who knows? Different types of receiver. I mean, because Colin Johnson is tall, John Ross isn't. Colin Johnson is not fast or anything like that. John Ross is, all right? But what I was reading about Colin Johnson is that, he might be somebody good to put in on third downs or especially in the red zone, all right? He's good on like 50-50 balls, obviously, So in certain situations, if the Giants see him being, decent enough and they actually want to put him on the team and all and everything, certain situations he might be good. I mean, he's 6'6". You look at Kyle Rudolph, who's like 6'5" or 6'6" as well. I mean, put those two guys in there when you're down in the red zone, those are some tall targets, okay? He said he's good at 50-50 balls, but he's not very quick. He's not very fast. I was kind of reading, he kind of rounds off his routes. He's not very quick out of a break. So he has, I don't know if he can wind up getting better at that stuff, if that's stuff he can learn or what. That I don't know. But that's kind of his strengths and kind of his weaknesses, So those are the 3 guys the Giants got. They got, looks like pretty much every day from now until the last game of the season, every day, guys are going to be getting injured, coming off this list, going on the roster, going on the IR, going on the PUP, going on the practice squad. So it's like a soap opera, as the Giants term. Now, the Giants are starting to fill up their practice squad, and hopefully I'll have more on that tomorrow. And maybe they'll have that filled up, so I'll be able to see who's all on the PUP, who's on the IR, okay, and who's on the practice squad. Now, after the PUP list, whoever's on that, like Aaron Robinson, they can come back after the 6th game. Anybody's on the IR can come back after the 3rd game, all right? So I'm going to check that out and see, and hopefully they'll have, I think they can have 16 players. They got Sandro Platzgummer, okay, on the practice squad, but he's like an exempt, all right? So he doesn't count toward the 16, all right? So the Giants can have 16 guys on their practice squad and Sandro Platzgummer, okay? And hopefully I'll have more on that tomorrow. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there, and go Giants! Woo!